My name is Barry Richhart. I'm married to Trish Richhart. Well, we did go through the typical marriage counseling, and they go through before you get married and talk about, what are your goals and do the goals match up? Husband and wife want to have similar goals. And we talked about it, and we definitely wanted 2 or 3 kids. And we got 2 or 3 kids, and we're very blessed to have them. And we thought, okay, well, we're probably done. And then we looked at it and go, okay, well, here comes the 4th. And a little nervous, it's a bigger family and, 4 kids, what are we going to do? But the 4th one came along and a blessing, and we were a happy family. And that goes for the 5th and the 6th and the 7th and the 8th, and I don't know about the 9th. But after the little one's born, it's like, how could I ever imagine my life without you?
I actually tried being a working mom for about 6 months after my first child was born and realized I'm not cut out for it. And we made the leap of faith, and I came home and have been a stay-at-home mom ever since. It is challenging, but I like just being there for them all the time. I'm their go-to person. What I feel like God has called me to be is to be that person for them.
We didn't have any stresses that aren't common to any other family. We had the typical ups and downs. I'm proud of the kids. I think they have a wonderful foundation that I credit a lot to Trish.
Life 2 years ago, there were 7 kids, and we were homeschooling, and we were involved in many activities. And Sunday, we were looking back, was an anniversary. We had just taken a big canoe trip with the whole family. It was something we had promised them. And I look back, and that was the last of our normal. I'm not supposed to cry.
When we took the canoeing trip, it was a great adventure. We jumped off the sides of the creek. Patrick lost a shoe. It was good times. Samuel may have had some small amount of bruisings on his leg, but I don't think anything that we thought was not typical of a young kid.
At the time he was 5, and you thought, he's a 5-year-old boy. 5-year-old boys get bruises. Then they started showing up in strange places that we were questioning it. And he had started seeming a little more tired. And then one day he got this tiny little sore on his tongue. It looked like an inflamed taste bud. And within 2 days, it was black and white and red and clearly infected. And I took him into the doctor. And I thought, well, this is a great time I can point out this bruising. And as soon as the doctor saw it, she also noticed petechiae, which is little purple dots up and down his legs. She sent him for some lab work.
They did the typical blood test, looked at him up and down, sent him home, and then we got a call when the blood work, the labs came back, and they said, literally, pick him up very gently and bring him into Lutheran to the ER immediately.
All of his blood counts were low, and the doctor suspected leukemia. We found out that he didn't have AML, the acute myeloid leukemia, but it was both AML and ALL, acute lymphoid leukemia combined, and they call that biphenotypic, which is very rare. I had one doctor tell me his odds were higher to get struck by lightning than to get this kind of leukemia.
The doctor and 2 nurses took us into a conference room and basically sat down and told us that this is what Samuel has, and these are the risks. These are kind of this is what the next 30 days are going to look like. You're going to be at Riley Hospital. You're going to be admitted, and they're going to start the treatment.
Leukemia is cancer of the blood. The cancer cells are basically immature cells. They never grow up to do what they're supposed to do and become platelets and hemoglobin and white blood cells, and they just crowd out all the good cells, and eventually the body ceases to function.
I think Trish and I react very differently. I am the type of person that can receive that news and kind of process that, and I'll deal with the emotions later. Trish is a little bit different.
Of course, we prayed. We prayed for healing. We prayed for this to be taken away. This was not a ride we wanted to go on. But, I don't know the mind of God, and Gwen and Pastor Kelly had come, and Donna Noble had all come down specifically with us to pray for Samuel's healing. And I felt so confident in that. I actually, the next morning, thought I was going to get up and they were going to give me his lab reports and go, "This is amazing." But that's just the way it is. It was just another day, and literally that evening, he spiked a fever and went downhill. And it was very difficult, because here we had prayed for his healing. I was trusting God for his healing, and God chose not to heal him. And he literally, that was at the point where his appendix ruptured, and while he was at a very vulnerable place with no way to fight it, and we didn't know what was going to happen. You know, we tried to explain what leukemia was and cancer was in the simplest of terms, and you know, that it's bad cells and you need to have medicine to get rid of them. We never told him how serious it was, but I think he knows. Because what he had was so rare, there wasn't a definite protocol, where for a lot of leukemias, they have a very set protocol. You do this type of chemo or this type of radiation in this series, and it effectively helps most people, but everything was kind of in the dark for him. There wasn't anything.
Well, certainly if I didn't trust God, and if I didn't believe God was in control, I am positive I would be up at nights. I would be stressing and tossing and turning and worrying about what can I do to make Samuel better. And the reality is, there's nothing I can do. You know, we have some of the best doctors down at Riley working on him, and I just love them down there.
I can't imagine not doing this, having somebody who's holding my hand and literally holding me up through it, because you just don't walk through something like this on your own strength. I've been wearing this since right after he was diagnosed, and I remind myself that I trust a God bigger than leukemia.
Our 2-year anniversary is going to be Halloween. That's the first day we were down at Riley. And so it's been a while, and really not knowing, you know, week to week, you know, how he's going to do, you know, whether he's going to succeed in this treatment or not. I think the long term has changed the way I look at things. I don't see myself as mature. I don't see myself as doing anything extraordinary, but I do know personally it's changed me. I did not pray those big prayers at the beginning. All I wanted God to fix it. I just wanted God to take this sickness away from Samuel. I wanted him to be just this normal little boy again. I didn't care how it happened. I didn't care who it affected. You know, I wanted what I wanted, and that was it. You know, the big prayer, heal Samuel, you know, remove this disease from him, is something that I pray and I hope for and I yearn for. But whether that happens or not is not my call. We're doing everything that we can do. We're following the plan. And if that happens, I'm going to praise God, because my wish, my request was answered. But if it doesn't happen, I hope that my response would be, you know, you've given me Samuel for so long, and we've enjoyed him as the person that he is, and you must have had some reason for it, but I don't know what that is. I would hope that I'd be okay with that, because I would trust God that he knows more than I do. If he were to choose to just wave his right hand and remove this disease from Samuel, I am confident that he could do that. The question of why isn't he, I don't need to know. Is that tough, is probably your next question. Yeah, it's not a lot of fun being in the dark on these things, but I think that's where the trust comes in. You know, I trust God that he's going to make it okay. And if he doesn't make it okay in this life on earth, he's going to make it okay in the afterlife.
There were times I felt just physically almost oppressed. I can't even explain how it is. There's a mental battle when he is not feeling well, and we don't know what outcome we're looking at. And there was nothing I could do but just turn to God at that time. And that was the only thing that brought relief. He wears, you saw the little bracelet he wears with courage. And we've talked a lot about how we don't always have courage, but you know, who can give you courage? And he knows it's God gives him courage. Oh yeah, I'm tired. I'm physically tired. I'm mentally tired. It's exhausting. And sometimes I think the mental aspect is the worst of it. When you look at it and think, I don't see an end. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't have an end point to shoot for. It becomes a little more overwhelming and it's exhausting. And then you start thinking, I can't do this. I can't continue on. My family can't continue on like this. And it's exhausting. I remember it was Thanksgiving and I kept telling myself, this is the time I should be thankful. And I was so far from thankful at that moment. And so God and I had a lot of talking. I questioned God like I've never questioned before. And I always believed that God is who He is and that He is bigger than leukemia. And I couldn't understand why, if I'd asked for His healing and I believed He could do it, why didn't He heal him? And the reply He gave to me was, do you trust me? And I had to say, yeah, I trusted Him. I trusted Him. I trust that He loves Samuel even more than I do. And that's where He left it. It is, your will be done. But if you want my opinion, here's what I want you to do. When I start to doubt, when things are looking bleak, I can just remind myself I trust a God who's bigger than leukemia or anything else we might face for that matter. He may not have answered our big prayer, but He has answered so many other prayers along the way. And no matter the outcome, it will be for His good. And He's going to walk us through it.